Dun, 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 klaudkil.
Welcome back to my PlayStation 3 adventure that I sort of had last night. This is not usually the way I record videos, so now you have a chance to see my gaming setup that I mostly have. PS3 Slim, PS4 Pro, here's a Nintendo Switch. Then I got the PlayStation 2 Slim and the limited edition PlayStation 2 Slim from Japan. It's a white version. Seems to be extremely expensive, have no idea. I bought it for 128 bucks 9 years ago, and it even had Dodonpachi on it. So it's kind of my hidden gem, my holy grail in my PlayStation 2 collection. So here's the story. Last night I could not sleep. I just could not sleep. I went to bed 12 o'clock and like half an hour stared at the ceiling. I was wide awake. It mostly never happens, but I was wide awake and I'm like, I don't know if you guys ever have that, but I then just walk around my game room checking out some games and just remembering the good old days. And I saw my PlayStation 3. Now, the story with the PS3 is this is my official launch PlayStation 3 Slim, Fat, I mean. It's the 60 gigabyte version, and this box is beat up everywhere almost. I'm really happy at the front, at least looks decent, because back in the day, I went to my dad every weekend and I brought my PS1, PS2, and eventually brought my PS3 with me, so it's kind of beat up. Also, I kind of gave this system to my nephews when they were like 4 or 5 years old. I probably should have not done that since they don't understand what it is, they don't value what it is, and they kind of beat up the box even more, and they beat up the system. The top of the system is kind of loose. It's now sticked on together. It's really annoying. It's scratched like hell. You don't see it, lucky, but it's extremely scratched. And I had two controllers with it that I played the entire generation with, and they destroyed it up until a point where it's just unplayable, and I had to throw them away. So it's really cool, and I was just thinking, you know what? I just want to check if the system still works. So I hooked it on and pressed the touchpad. The PS3 was really modern. It was really futuristic, in my opinion. You didn't have a button you had to press. You had like a touchpad. You just tap on it and ka-ping, the system goes on. It didn't work. I'm like, oh no, damn it. And I kind of pressed it a little bit harder and bam, it turned on. It turned on beautifully, and I was shocked by a sense of extreme nostalgia. I remember getting the PlayStation 3. I initially was not thinking of getting the PS3 at launch. I was doing some other stuff in my life. I was kind of moving away from gaming at that point. But when the PS3 launched, my hands were itching, and me and my friend, we rushed to the game store, and literally, honestly, we had the last PS3 in the city. We bought the PS3, another controller he gave me as a present. I bought Resistance Fall of Man with it. We played the whole night. And all these memories kind of came back playing Uncharted the first time, playing the demo of Uncharted, how beautiful the game was. Remembering all the amazing E3s. I really liked how Jack Tretton kind of created the E3. It was more of a entertainment hour or 2 hours. I always really liked E3. Never really understand why so many people are against it. I know this still is better, I guess. It's more easier, but I always loved the week of E3. I always took a week off from work to check out E3, and I always really, really loved it. And just all the good memories of the hype with God of War 3, the hype with Uncharted 2, the battle between the Wii, Xbox 360, and the PlayStation 3. At the time, I was a huge fanboy. And of course, the first time I've ever made YouTube videos because it was in the PS3 era where YouTube started to grow and I made a channel, and it may not be as big as some other ones, but still I highly and always enjoy, I'm still enjoying making videos. And somehow I remember that this system is backwards compatible. I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. You can play PS1 and PS2 games on it. Now, part of the story is that these couple of months I've been thinking, and I'm going to do that, I'm going to create a retro corner in my house. It's going to be pretty cool if it's going to be as I imagined it in my head. It's going to be a really cool, cozy retro corner. I wanted to get a really nice, big, old television, even though it's kind of hard to find, especially a working one, and hooking up my PS1 and PS2. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, let's try and see how the PS3 does on an HD screen. And I hooked it on. I put in King's Shield on it. And I'm like, you see the intro of the PlayStation and you see the letters. It's kind of weird because when you just hook on your PS2 on a screen with SCART or even an upscaler, even the letters are kind of pixelated and blurry, and you kind of know that this is not how you remember the PlayStation 1 and 2. It was really crisp, really smooth, really sharp. So I was like, okay, this is really cool. I have an upscaler that does not even do that. So I played the game and I'm like, this looks really good actually on an HD screen. But I did saw that there was a little weird sort of pixelated filter around the game. It didn't look as sharp as I remember the PlayStation 1 games looking. And I have an old CRTV, a really small one, and I hooked that one up. And it definitely looked a little bit better than it looked on the PS3 on an HD screen, but it looked the best out of all the HD upscalers that I tried. It looked the best. I'm like, okay, this actually looks playable. So I put in Tekken 3, and maybe you can see it, but you can clearly see there's a really kind of weird blurry filter on it. So I searched it out why that is, and the thing is, the PlayStation 1 is being emulated on the PlayStation 3, where the PlayStation 2's emotion engine is actually in this system. That's why this system is so desirable for collectors, because the PS2 hardware is literally inside this system, or this system. So I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes. Let's see how the PlayStation 2 looks. So I put in Bloody Roar 3. And honestly, I was amazed. I was blown away. It looked identical to how I remember the PlayStation 2, how it looked. I'm like, this is the best upscaler, best emulation system, whatever, that I've ever used. And again, I tried a couple of upscalers that I bought last year, I bought a couple of years ago, and a 2007 system does it 10 times better than those things from 2019 and 2017. I'm like, what? How? Holy shit. Sony really knew how to do it. So I started playing more games. I put in Breath of Fire 2. And you know what? That game actually looked really good. So it seems that the beginning of 3D graphics on PlayStation 1 looks a little bit blurry and pixelated on the PS3 on a big screen. But if you have like the, how do you say it? Oh my god, I forgot the word, holy shit. The handmade graphics, oh my god, I freaking forgot the word. How do you have polygons, you have pixels, and you have something else. You know what I mean. The Super Nintendo style graphics actually looks really sharp, really crisp on the PlayStation 1. So I played Breath of Fire 2 for like an hour and I got really emotional. I got really like, I was a kid playing on the PlayStation 1 again because I loved Breath of Fire 2. It's a game I should beat, by the way. So I'm like, okay, let's try something else. So I put in Diablo, and it's the same. It looked really good. It did have a little bit of a weird filter to it, and I'm not sure if it's the emulation or it's because the game is really scratched. Diablo 1 is my most played game of all time, so the CD is kind of scratched, but the music in the game is kind of weird. Sometimes you have the music and it just cuts off and then it stretches and then goes back forward and all of a sudden stops. So the music isn't that great on Diablo. It's probably the CD that's kind of too much scratched, but it's playable. It's the best playable version that I've ever played on a big screen besides playing it on a really small CRTV. So I'm actually thinking of getting another 20 or 60 gigabyte PS3, and perhaps my retro corner will not have a really old big CRTV television, but just an HD screen. Maybe I'm going to use this screen because next year with the PlayStation 5 I'm going to get a really beautiful 4K television. Maybe this one is going up for the retro corner, and I'll just be playing PS1 and PS2 games from the PlayStation 3. I'm not entirely sure, because CRTV is still a little bit better, especially with PlayStation 1. PlayStation 2 looks perfectly fine though. So that was kind of my PlayStation 3 adventure for this night. And I have to admit, at the moment I am playing Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon on PlayStation 4. I got a free code from PCube, thank you for that, a review code. I'm almost at the end of the game. It's actually not a big game at all. It's not a super good game, but it's a fun little dungeon crawler. And I'm almost at the end of the game. Maybe I'll get it platinum because it's not that hard. And after that, I may play a PlayStation 2 game that I wanted to play for years and years. But I wanted to play it in the full glory of how the game should be played and not pixelated and blurry on a PS2 with a SCART cable or an upscaler. And that game is Dragon Quest VIII. It's a game that I bought a walkthrough with it, and it kind of spoiled the fun because I was reading through everything, and it kind of spoiled the game. But now at the moment I'm like, it doesn't really matter if I use a walkthrough or not. I just would love to play Dragon Quest VIII and beat the game. Finally, after all these years, beat the game. Dragon Quest XI made such a big impression on me that I really wanted to play Dragon Quest VIII. And it was actually on my list to play when my retro corner was sort of done. But there's a chance, and there's a big chance, I mean, that after I beat the game on PS4, that I will start playing Dragon Quest VIII on the PS3 on a big screen that actually looks really good. But at the same time, when I start Diablo is a really interesting game. I had so much love for the original Diablo on PlayStation 1, so many good memories, that when I kind of start playing it, I keep playing it. So I'm now a level 8 warrior, I'm at level 4 in the Labyrinth, and I'm having a super good time playing Diablo 1. So maybe I'll first play Diablo 1 a bit up until I'm bored, and then I'll start playing Dragon Quest VIII. So yeah, this was my adventure. I never knew the PlayStation 3 could upscale PlayStation 1 and especially PlayStation 2 games so good on an HD screen that it almost looks like how I remember it looked and when I played it. I do want to clean the system though. It's a system that's been off for years. There's probably a lot of dust in it. I do want to clean it. I need special tools for it. I want to clean it really good. So hopefully it's gonna work for years to come. And you know, one little thing that made me really emotional is I hooked it up and there's nothing on the system anymore. But there was a PlayStation 2 memory card on it. So I checked it out. It was my original 2007 God of War 2 save file. And it's really weird as a guy from 30 years old. I had a little tear in my eye like, holy shit. You know, this is why I collect games. This is why I'm so for physical gaming, you know, preserving games, preserving the history of video games. You will probably never have that with digital games. If I'm not mistaken, the PS3 online store is actually offline. You can't even re-download games anymore. But still, God of War 2 is on my memory card on the PlayStation 3. It's just, holy shit. This hard drive survived 13 years, still works perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. And I'm just really excited, really happy, because there are so many PS2 games that I really want to play, but I was like, oh, I'll wait until I have a retro corner, oh, I'll wait until I have a good television, and actually now I have a good system to play this on. So leave it in the comments below. Do you still play retro games? Do you actually play retro games on your PS3? Do you even have a PS3 fat 20 or 60 gigabyte? Leave it in the comments below. By the way, every PS3 runs PlayStation 1 games. They never removed the emulation for the PlayStation 1 on PS3. So even the latest PS3 Super Slim still works with PlayStation 1 games. Like, share, comment and subscribe. And like always, you're gonna see me next time.